What's going on, everybody? This is Living in Arizona Now, and today we are going to talk about the water crisis because this is the #1 most hot button subject that keeps coming up for people who watch this channel. People keep asking, what's up with the water? People making assertions and assumptions. So we're going to actually do a bit more of a deep dive, look at where the water comes from, the watershed from the Salt River and the Colorado. We're going to also look at some of the history related to those watersheds before they became lakes. Also in the comments, you guys let us know what some of your solutions to the problem are, because this is something that is not just to be complained about, but we need to be proactive in thinking about the future and what are some of the solutions to the actual problem. So I will be highlighting some of those comments and responding during the film that we're doing now, the live stream, and after. A lot of you are asking why you're not getting updated when the live stream is coming up. You need to actually turn on the bell and hit notifications all. So if you haven't already done it, or if you've done it before and it's not working, unclick it and then re-click it again. That will trigger the algorithm to let you know you want to participate in the live streams. I see you, Claudia. I see 10 people also smashing the likes. So we're going to dive in here. If you're new to this channel, you could subscribe. Right here at the top, I've put best lakes in Arizona for recreation because it's getting hot. I just did a staycation down in Phoenix, downtown. I stayed at the Westin at the Freeport McMoran building. It was all right, but it's really hot down there. I'm actually probably going to be making a video on this one or on Island Hopper, a Phoenix travel guide. I wanted to feel what it looks like to travel here. Anyways, thanks to everyone who subscribes. So we're going to take a look here at Lake Mead. So Lake Mead is the biggest problem because they gave it like a 3 to 5% chance that it would get this low about 5 years ago. They said that there's no real problem with the Colorado River, and they gave it like a 3 to 5% chance that this would happen, and what they thought wouldn't happen did happen. So this is NASA on Earth Observatory. You could see this is Lake Mead right here in the year August in 2007. So August 7th, 2007, that's Lake Mead. Let's go to August 7, 2021. You can see the difference. So Lake Mead water levels really low, okay? So this is the problem. Now, where does the water come from? Well, for the Colorado River, if we zoom out here and we go up to the Rockies, this is where the snowpack for the actual headwaters of the Colorado River is, and it hits right here at Page. And this is where Lake Powell is, okay? Glen Canyon Dam is right there. If we take Google Earth right here and we zone in, look at that, Google Earth really hooking it up. You could get right there and look at the Glen Canyon Dam Bridge and the Glen Canyon Dam. This was a heck of a project when it was first built and developed. Now, that's one of the reservoirs in the area. But if we zoom out here and we actually look at Hoover Dam right here, this is Lake Mead. This is the one that's running low on water. And so the problem is California, Las Vegas, Nevada, Phoenix, all pulling off the Colorado River. And if you wanted to know what the percentage of, that's what we need to know, is what's the percentages? Well, where does Arizona get its water? 36% of our water comes from the Colorado River. That's the Central Arizona Project. Okay, then you have in-state rivers, 18%. We have 5% reclaimed water, and then groundwater. So believe it or not, there's a lot of groundwater below Phoenix and some of the other cities out here in Arizona. So not all of our water comes from the Colorado. My door just closed. Something also comes from the in-state rivers, which we're going to talk about right here, which is really, that's the healthy one. The in-state rivers are the healthy rivers. That's the Salt River. So you can see that we have 4 lakes here. Lake Roosevelt, we have Apache Lake, we have Canyon Lake, and we have Saguaro Lake. 4 reservoirs that hold the water. They're actually not doing too low, or they're not too low. They're not in bad shape. Now, where does the water for that originate? Well, if you go right here on Wikipedia, you could see the Salt River watershed. So you got the Black River, Big Bonito Creek, White Creek, Cedar Creek, Carrizo Creek, Sibique Creek, and you can see all the different watersheds, even the Verde River, and that all kind of pours right in here where we're going to talk about on Google Earth right here. It all kind of meets right in the dam area of the Granite Reef Dam. Now, what happens at Granite Reef Dam is the water gets distributed into 4 different canals. So you have the canal that goes south into Mesa. You can see it running right next to Power Road. Then there's another one that shoots north towards Scottsdale. It goes under the mountain there, and then it goes into the Hayden Roads Aqueduct. Then there's another one that goes directly towards Phoenix. Okay, this is the Arizona Canal. And then you have another one that shoots also into Mesa right here. So that's 4 canals that come off of the Salt River right there. When the water arrives in Phoenix from the Colorado River, a lot of that water is stored right here in Lake Pleasant. So this is the CAP, Central Arizona Project. The other one, the Salt River, is the Salt River Project. Those are the 2 big projects for river water. But remember, most of our water actually comes from the groundwater, the water table. That's another reason why they say we can't actually build underground cities, is because the water level, the water table is just below the surface. Maybe in some areas it's more shallow than others. So that's an interesting point that's being made about why we can't do the underwater cities or underground cities. It's because we would be underwater down there. Now, something that I wanted to point out that a lot of people who are new here don't necessarily know, but if you've been watching this channel, we've talked about this before. Before they dammed up these rivers, you had basically 2 main rivers that flowed in here. You had the Gila River, which comes from the headwaters of the Gila National Forest in New Mexico, and that's actually dammed up right here, okay? And that's at the Coolidge Dam. But that area right there at the Coolidge Dam is the main area that blocked off the Gila River. But the Gila River and the Salt River all met out here in Buckeye. Okay, if you look right here in Buckeye, it's called the Gila River. You know, the Gila River Casino. It travels south of South Mountain. But the Salt River goes just south of the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport and downtown. Those 2 rivers met right in Buckeye, right here. You could see that's where the delta was, or the headwaters met, okay? So Gila River and the Salt River meet right here, and they become the Gila River. And that all used to go through Buckeye, but you could see right now it's completely bone dry because of the reservoirs. Now that water, back in the day, used to go right down here into Gila Bend, because you could see the reason they call it Gila Bend is because the Gila River bends right here. This is kind of like a painted rock reservoir. It's a dried up reservoir, and it would go all the way to Yuma and connect with the Colorado River in Yuma. That's why Yuma is such a fertile farming territory, thanks to the 39 people who smashed the likes. I also see you guys out there. Someone said, who closed that door? I see you guys, JT, Angel, Deb. Yeah, thanks to everybody who's commenting and smashing the likes. So right here you have the Colorado River and the Gila River meeting, and all that water went right in here into the Cia Cortez. This river delta right here, Reserva de la Biosfera Alta Golfo, this whole area right here was carved out by that amount of water. The Colorado and the Salt and Gila River all pouring in here, and that carved out the Cia Cortez, also known as the Gulf of California. If that was not cut off, this would have continued to erode and eat away at this area of the Baja, and the ocean would have probably come all the way up to the Salton Sea by now, with the amount of erosion that was coming. I mean, this Colorado River, had it not been dammed up, was the same river that carved out the Grand Canyon. And by the way, there's a heck of a canyon. I call it Grand Canyon 2.0, just above the Salt River right here. It's the Salt River Canyon. You can see Salt River Canyon wilderness area. That's a really deep canyon, okay? So a lot of people, they just simply don't know this stuff, and they talk about it, and now we're getting the information, making it more clear where the water comes from, what did it look like before we started, damming it up and building the lakes and the reservoirs. And this is important information because this all ties into what is the future of Arizona. How do we survive in this situation? Well, the governor, Doug Ducey, had actually proposed a desalination plant. So Arizona governor calls for $1 billion desalination plant to be built in the Sea of Cortez. So it was going to be built in Mexico. Now, I'm not a big fan of this because when your water supply is basically at the whim or the except, it's Mexico. If they wanted, they could basically sabotage the plant or cut it off, or if there was some diplomatic issue, they would just say, hey, no water for you guys. And if we were dependent on their water, that's a big problem. So we would either have to play nice with Mexico forever, which is fine. I'm totally cool with that. That would be the ideal situation, but you know how politics is. Or we would have to make a deal with Los Angeles to build some desalination plants and stop sucking off the Colorado River, being that they're the ones who are right next to the ocean. To me, I would say California's got to be building the desalination plants. And they got tons of area they can do it. San Diego, all the way, like even if you go to Tijuana right here, they could build a desal plant right there. They could build a desal plant up there north of Oceanside right here. That's all government land as it is. So they've got a lot of land to build the desal, and they're the ones sucking the most off of the Colorado River. So this information, I felt like I needed to get it out there because people needed to know what the river situation looked like before the Colorado got dammed up and before the Salt River project got dammed up. It was basically carving out the Sea of Cortez. And now moving forward into the future, we need solutions from people like you in the audience who are going to tell us what you think is the solution. Is it desal, or do we do something drastic like basically take the Missouri River or the Mississippi River right here? Because that's the interesting thing that's also in play. The Mississippi just basically is a ton of water. It's a big watershed, and it just dumps tons of water into Louisiana. And it's actually so much water that the Mississippi River Delta is drowning New Orleans. It's not just because of the Mississippi River, but either way, there's a lot of rainwater or river water that just goes right into the ocean, right there at Lake Pontchartrain, into the ocean right here in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, obviously, that would affect the ecology, but we'd have to take into consideration the environmental effects. But that's a lot of water that's just going away that could be rerouted, possibly even from the Great Lakes. I mean, we know Chicago's not lacking snow or rainy weather or anything like that. They get plenty of lake water right there, and they could possibly divert it to Phoenix or Arizona or the Southwest, because the Southwest is the area that's really struggling. They'd probably have to run the canal or the alternate river system just south of Albuquerque, right, and connect to the Rio Grande. They'd either have to figure out a way to get through the Rio Grande, but then they could connect it basically to the Salt River, and that would pour it into the reservoirs that we have here. But we'd probably have to add a couple more reservoirs. I don't have the exact plans because I haven't studied the topography or the geology behind all that, but those are just some ideas that we could consider. Great Lakes water, Mississippi River water, desalination plants down in the Sea of Cortez or in California. But it's going to ultimately come down to you, the voter, who's going to approve one of these projects. But simply saying we can't do nothing is going to put every single one of those people who live in Arizona, Phoenix, Tucson, at risk of a possible catastrophe. And I'm not going to get into the whole idea of what could go wrong because I don't want to talk about the negatives. But let's just say this. If some things were to happen to the water supply, it wouldn't be good for every single one of you who've bought a home or live here in Phoenix. Seriously. So I don't think the answer from you guys, the voters, is simply do nothing. It's going to have to be do something. So anyways, I just wanted to put that out there and see what you guys have to say. Thanks to the 69 people who smashed the likes. I can't wait to hear from you guys. I see some people saying something like, Richard, Mississippi to AZ would be prohibitive getting across the Rockies. Well, that's why we would have to go through Albuquerque area. We wouldn't go through the Rockies, although, we need that southern movement, but you could definitely get it through Albuquerque here. And like I said, if you can get it into the White Mountains, which is where you get, let's just look at it from a topography right here. So you have the Missouri. You could probably pull off the Missouri somewhere around Kansas City and come south through Wichita, Albuquerque, and then you get to the White Mountains here, and that's where the watershed is for the Salt River. I don't know if you'd want to connect it to the Salt River. I guess that would work in a situation, or you could get it tied in right here at the Gila. So I don't know where they would tie it in at, and I'm not saying they'll do this idea, but you can definitely get around the Rockies. I mean, if you look at Google Earth here, here's the Rockies and here's New Mexico. But there is mountains in New Mexico. But most of Texas is flat, most of Kansas for sure flat. Getting through New Mexico would be the hard part. you know, that's it. You're not going to go through the Rockies. I don't see how you could get around the Rockies. So we'll see. Danny says, Israel and Dubai transformed a desert. Why can't Arizona? Right, they did, and they're using weather manipulation where they fly planes over and drop silver iodine. But, you know, the conspiracy theorists take that into left field and say all sorts of different things. But we'll see. Anyways, I just wanted to point this out there. FTG says, if you come to Arizona, please bring your own water. I think another thing that's going to have to come up is what are people doing to conserve water in their own home? Are we taking the necessary steps? Because if we don't take the necessary steps, more people keep coming, less rainwater keeps coming, and then we have rations, water rations, where they're going to basically say, no gardens, no greenery in your backyard. The only thing that can grow is cactus, going back to natural permaculture. I don't know what they're going to say because I'm not a politician, but I mean, that would kind of be what they would probably go for if they were to start rationing water. So anyway, thanks to everyone who smashed the likes. Looking forward to the comments. Afterwards also, someone is making some crazy comments, so that's not going to work. They are getting you all in there, and what the heck? You guys say some of the most wild things. I'm not even going to read the comments. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.